Okay, so let me go live on YouTube. And we're live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Hour. So the crypto world again has been dominated this week by the new Bitcoin ETF that started trading last week on Thursday. So we'll have a look at we'll concentrate on crypto today. But we'll have a look at what have been the inflows and outflows as well from the different products, and what is the outlook for the next few weeks and months, really. So what it's been a little bit complicated to discuss because there have been kind of different flows from different products. Some money going into Bitcoin, some money technically coming out of Bitcoin. And so the reaction of the price hasn't been what the bulls expected, but hasn't been what the bears expected. Okay, because everybody been talking about kind of like buy the rumor, sell the news. So we expected to, when the ETF was approved, to be kind of like a sell-off. Now there has been some sell-off, but not as much as was expected. And there hasn't been that really high candle, the excitement candle that everybody was expecting too. So we'll have a look in a minute at what has happened and what has caused the different movements. Okay, let me share my screen. So let's have a look. Sorry. Okay. Well, first of all, we'll have a quick look at the economic calendar just to refresh ourselves of what's happening in the world and what other asset classes are doing. So we're still kind of like the beginning of really people are coming back to work, so it's still early days on the economic calendar. There aren't that many news that were being reported. One thing that has been reported extensively this week, inflation figures again. We can see on Tuesday from Canada, then on Wednesday in the UK, and then we had the retail sales in the US on Wednesday, labor numbers again on Wednesday, and some more retail sales, and today from the UK, and consumer sentiment to be reported later in the US. Now, as you can see, in many countries around the world, the inflation has actually perked up again, like we reported as well last week in the US. Expectations were for the inflation to carry on, going down, where instead, is other states that stayed the same or actually picked up like he has done in the UK and then the US as well last week. Again, the positive numbers that we're seeing coming from the US,
guys.
of strong retail sales, strong job numbers as well, are kind of like taking the sales out of taking the wind out of the sails of all the investors that expected interest rates to go down quickly, because it's kind of less urgent for the monetary committee now to start cutting very, very quickly, because they see as the best case scenario playing out, and they don't see any need at the moment of reducing interest rates. Now, having said that, the difference between the high interest rates and the lowering inflation, it means that the real interest rates, so what you pay once you strip off the inflation, are in effect growing rather than reducing. So this is expected to have an effect on the economy later on, especially when the credit impulse will pretty much run out in towards the end of February, beginning of March, and is expected then to, with less money in circulation, it is expected as well to be probably a kind of like a little period of a reset for a lot of risk assets, and we have got to think about cryptocurrency as part of these risk assets as well, but in particular for stocks and shares. So if we see here, this is the Nasdaq 100, which is which had a drop beginning of the week, as you can see here, towards Monday and Tuesday this week, but then it actually picked up again, and is now creating new highs. This is kind of an all-time high, and obviously the Nasdaq, it's list all the technology stocks, which are the ones that have been the highest performing stocks on the S&P 500. So it has been the higher performing index. Even the S&P 500 is hovering again towards the all-time high again. Okay, so at the moment, as I said to you last week as well, stocks and shares are at historically expensive level. Okay, so kind of be very careful. I wouldn't encourage anybody to actually go heavily into stocks and shares, right at the moment, until we have a kind of a clearer picture of of what's going to happen in the next few months. So we can have the kind of like many different scenarios. The more probable one is that there's going to be a correction. If things still play out as they have been, so with kind of like the more positive scenario out of the three possible ones, we probably are still looking at 10 to 20% drop in the price of the especially the S&P 500 and the also the Russell 2000, which is the one that includes all the medium and small companies in the US. So it could be a good opportunity in a few months' time to actually position again in this asset class, and that at the moment I will say, for myself, I kind of could be into like waiting mode. Because there's been a kind of expectation now for the interest rates to be delayed. As you can see, the bonds market are actually now priced in that the interest rates will stay higher for a little bit longer, and so the kind of the price of bonds has gone down now to a good, again, to a price that might make it sensible to actually take a position, which in any case it's seen as a an asset that would pay ongoing returns in terms of kind of like interest, which at the moment are between 4 and 5%. Plus, there's a big potential of appreciation, as you can see. In a falling market, and falling interest rates, we can see what the institutions think of these. This is where they started coming in. I'll just show you, we put in the volume. So you can see here at the bottom, it's not very clear. But so as the prices were hitting pretty much they carried on dropping for now since September 2020 until October of last year, so for 3 years. This is when all of a sudden we started seeing a lot of really large volumes started coming in October of last year when the value, this is the TLT, which it's an ETF that collects the 20-year plus treasury bonds, US treasury bonds. So during this period here, there was like a very fast accumulation from institutions. So this has a really good value. And actually the price has confirmed their view because this has now appreciated, even with the current drop, is appreciated more than 10% from these lows. But as the interest rates start coming down, and it's possibly that the first cut will be in March, if not in May, again the price of the bonds as the interest rates come down will start appreciating again. Okay. So that's a one way of looking at what the market is doing, and look at where we were in generally speaking. Okay, at the moment where we are now, it's a price level that we haven't seen since 2011, before the pandemic. Okay, so for the market to come back to so this is it's a weekly chart. If we were to put a simple moving average, right, you see where is the sorry, I've crossed the wrong thing. Okay, so if we go and have a look at the maybe 200 period moving average, so this is a very long. So this is where the 200 weeks, so the 4-year average is in the treasury bonds. Okay, so it's standing at over 120. Okay, so think about it in case if you have obviously a portfolio, you have to balance kind of like the risk that you're taking with the protection that you want to give your portfolio. And this is something that would carry on giving you some income, while at the same time being a protection in case the market was to, the share market was to drop quite heavily by 15, 20, 25%. This could be a counter trend asset, which in any case, as the interest rates go back to normal, to 4% and below, will then approach this long-term average again and maybe meet it at above 110. Okay, so we are thinking of one of the most traded, probably the most traded market that dwarfs the share market by a factor of more than 10 that can provide you with potential capital increase of 15-20% from now, while at the same time paying you an income of around 5% a year. Okay, now let's have a look at what happened to Bitcoin. And please, if you have any questions at all, just feel free to ask and interrupt me if you want. This is the Bitcoin again daily chart. Again, we're going up when it started growing again from November of 22. And this is where we are now. Okay, so on this candle here, this is the one that went up to about 49,000. is the one when the ETF started trading, which was Thursday of last week.
Luca, sorry, Luca, I'm only still seeing the Treasury on your screen.
Oh, sorry. Let me just stop sharing this.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you for telling me. Sometimes I don't know why it does that, but it does. Okay. Okay, can you see the Bitcoin chart now? Can you confirm that you see?
I can see it, Luca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's still
Anybody else can see any problems?
Yes, it's there, Luca.
Okay, sure. Probably Kim, or maybe your connection. That's playing up. So it
all
takes
good. Thank you.
a bit longer to refresh the screen. Okay, so this is what happened in last Thursday, when there was like a little bit of the prices came up from about 46.5 or 47 to around 49, and then they drop just as quickly. And since then, there has been a little bit of a sell-off, and the market has gone back to, as you see, has gone back to this range. Let me just cancel that. So no, why this is playing out? Okay. So basically to this range, which we've been on since beginning of December. Okay. So nothing, yes, it has been, and again, we get used to it in Bitcoin terms because this has been a drop of 17% from the high. But this, in a way, this is kind of like outliers from the from the average rather than the normal. So this is, as you can see here in the past, Bitcoin tends to, in both sides, even when it was coming down, you see it comes down, then it bases, because it goes sideways for a while, and then it drops again, and then he has another sideways move, so it kind of like consolidating for a while, and then he has another drop, and so on. Okay, until we start playing in the other direction. So and you can see it very clearly here. Okay, from October we have an impulse up very strong, then a sideways move, and then another move up, a sideways move, and another move up. So at the moment, this is nothing more than kind of like a consolidation phase, and we'll see why we've seen a drop in price instead of what everybody else expected, of like prices climbing, and what really could we, what are the potential movements from here, and what we could see in the next few weeks.
Why do you think that this has happened? I mean, do you think that, yeah, they made the announcement and we thought everything was going to go berserk, but you think there's still hesitation and people are more needed, even the big funds aren't just throwing money at it?
No, this is simply is a kind of like a technical issue, and I'll explain it in a second. Let me show you.
Okay.
So if you see, this is the first 4 days of flows of money into all the different. This has 11. No, what I cancel the one. Okay, I'll show you then another chart in a second. There was another one that's missing here as well. So this is the flow of money into all the different 11 Bitcoin ETFs that have been approved. Okay, so obviously the IBIT is the BlackRock one, which has already, after 4 days, is amassed more than $1 billion in inflows. And this is then the other ones that follow: the Fidelity, Bitwise, ARK Invest, and so on. Okay. Now, if you see here at the bottom, there's the grayscale, okay, GBTC, that instead has seen a sell-off. Okay, so 95 billion the first day, 500, then it looks like about 500 million, sorry, a day. And so that goes in the other direction. Although the total flows are being positive, there are some technical issues, in the sense that if you sell anything in the market, there is like the settlement is like 2 days later. Okay, so all these money that has an immediate impact on the price of Bitcoin is not available to reinvest, at least at the very earliest, until 2 days later. And just remember that although we started Thursday and Friday trading, Monday was a bank holiday in the US. So then the funds started trading again on Tuesday. So if you think about it, this is one, this amount will be available as cash for the people that sold these shares on Tuesday. This one on Wednesday, this is on Thursday, this is on Friday. Okay. So there is kind of like a time lag, both on the money coming out of Grayscale, because that, a lot of these funds will find their way onto other products. The reason why they've been, both a Grayscale and ProShares, I've seen there's another fund they had already got Bitcoin. So those were the only two funds they had Bitcoin before the ETF was approved, were GBTC and Byte, which is a ProShare fund. So the reason why money is leaving them is because their fees are a lot higher than anybody else. So now some of the cheapest funds in here have got fees of about 0.2% to 0.3%. Where the Grayscale are like 1.5%. Okay, so obviously, if you know that there's a cheaper version of the same thing available, especially now that you don't have to sell, if you come out of, of the Grayscale fund, you don't have to sell your Bitcoins at a discount anymore. That explains, the outflow of these funds. But if you look here at the assets, although, yes, we have BlackRock that's got $1 billion now in assets, and Fidelity is very close by. You can see the Grayscale still has about 25 billion of worth of Bitcoin, and that this amount needs to play out in the market. Either that, or they will reduce the amount of fees to stop people leaving the fund. So whenever this sell-off has finished, then the effect of the funds they are flowing in will be felt very, very strongly. Okay, so this is only one reason. Okay, the second reason is that we have seen the miners again selling off part of their reserves, to fund their operations, because the only income for the miners are the Bitcoins that they receive whenever they create a block. Okay, so at some stage they will start selling some Bitcoins, to fund their operation. So they seem to have decided that a level between kind of like 40 and 45,000 is a good price for them to get, to actually monetize some of their assets. And again, this has to be worked through the system. But if you remember what I said to you last week, that 57% of Bitcoin hasn't moved at all in the past 2 years. So what the effect of the ETF at the moment, the net liquid effect, I mean, there was that drop in day 5, so it's about $1 billion fresh dollars, let's say, that net that has gone into Bitcoin. And at a certain point, these coins that all these funds are buying, because they have to buy Bitcoins with the money they collect, these coins are going into a place where they would be really not move very often. Okay, so if they reduce the availability of liquid and available to trade Bitcoin in the market. And just to put things into perspective, the amount of investment that the Bitcoin funds have received in 4 days, it's more than all the ETFs that were launched in 2023. And there were over 500 of them. So this is more than double what all the other 500 funds put together have attracted in in the same period. Now, as you can see here, this is kind of like a Bloomberg article that talks about the kind of the outflow from GBTC are likely then to come back to other Bitcoin rivals after the time the time that needs to be passed needs to be gone to make the money available to all the investors. So it is difficult to reconcile the inflows with the outflow from GBTC. So they already have as you can see here, they have more than 1 billion in outflows. Okay, and this is just for after the first 3 days. You can see here that even with all the outflows, and by the way, the GBTC is by far the most traded of the funds. They still dwarf everybody else with the amount of Bitcoins they have accumulated over time. Okay, so let me just go back. So if you can see here, I mean, this is interesting. But the other thing that we haven't considered is how the BlackRock, Fidelity, and some of the other fund managers, they actually manage most of the US's investors' pension funds and investment funds. And if you can see how they started talking to their audience, I mean, this is an advert for Bitcoin. As you can see, it's an advert that runs for about 2 minutes, and probably is one of the most boring pieces of television that has ever been produced. Okay, but they talk about Bitcoin in terms that are very boring, very safe, very easy to understand, and very easy for them to communicate with their target audience, which is the baby boomers. Okay, people born just after the war, so they're into the 70s and 80s, and the target is to make them understand Bitcoin and make them understand that it is a safe asset to invest in, and that maybe they may want to have some exposure to that in their portfolio. Where is the okay, this is the latest figures at yesterday. Okay, so if you can see here, we are now gone to about 2.2 billions of outflow from Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Their asset now are down to 23 billion, but it's still, again, 6 or 7 times bigger than all the other funds put together. Okay, now both BlackRock and Fidelity have got funds of have gone over the $1 billion mark, and it is expected that if we continue at this pace, either BlackRock, Fidelity, or both will pass the GBTC in terms of assets held. So the expectation is that it will take about a month to a month and a half to play all this out. But what does it mean? Okay, what does it mean for generally for Bitcoin, for the rest of the crypto market, etc., etc.? First of all, to understand is that we had a drop in price, but if we look at the you must have heard about the fear and greed index. At the moment is gone. It used to it was in greed mode, and now we've gone back to neutral. So we see 51 out of 100. So we are in completely neutral territory. So nothing to panic about. We're not in capitulation mode. No, we're still into kind of like wait and see what happens. Maybe if I can show you as well, I think so. If we look at the rainbow chart for Bitcoin, so this is kind of gives you an idea, a visual idea, where the price of Bitcoin is, very hot, very cool, or anything in between. Okay, these are the kind of like legends, So at the moment we are in the, the top would be the maximum bubble territory. Then straight afterwards it would be seriously sell now. And so even before then, we, would be the FOMO territory. We're far away from that. At the moment, we are just really between a sale price and the buy price. So this is the situation where we are at the moment. So nothing to panic about. And historically, we are at a, at a low level in the bull cycle. There is plenty. This is actually quite a good site if you want to explore and look at it a little, look into it. There's plenty of charts there. This is called Look Into Bitcoin, and there are many different metrics that you can have a look at. Doesn't, just because you see in a chart, it doesn't mean that it's something that works all the time. But if you heard Roger talk, he often talks about the stock to flow model. This is another chart, and again, it's still not, it's still actually showing us that we are pretty much in fair value territory right now. So we're not very far from the model that says that by the time we have the halving, we should be around 50 to 55,000. Okay, so which is 20% up from where we are now, really. And then this model by let's say the middle of next year as an expectation of about 400 to 500,000. I mean, I don't know. Again, there are all models. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So you take it with a pinch of salt. But some of these charts are better than others in terms of being more reliable than others. Okay, the other one maybe that you probably have heard of is the NUPL, net unrealized profit and loss. That will, is the one that we heard when we say, where are we? We are in capitulation mode, hope mode, optimism, belief or denial, and then euphoria or greed. Okay, so again, we are very far away from there right now. We are just in the middle. So this is the chart that tells you how many Bitcoin wallets, that both Bitcoin coins are in profit compared to where they were bought at last time, or how many are at a loss. Okay. And historically, it has given very good signals when we reach the two extremes. One extreme being at the top, the euphoria. So every time we've been in euphoria territory, is followed by quite a sharp drop, as you can see time and time again. This is the last time. We actually didn't quite reach that in 2021. So this is why we never got the signal to sell from this chart that many people look at to get a signal. But again, on the other side, when the market is in capitulation mode and starts recovering, that is a good kind of buy signal. And this is where we see what happened in the end of 2022. Actually here, when prices started going up really significantly, was right at the beginning of 2023. So we could have bought then when we went through maybe this peak at around 18,000, and that would have been a very good deal for taking a long-term position. So have a look. Remember, look into bitcoin.com. Very easy to remember. Now, a few more things. Also, you already talk about this. And yeah, this is what I wanted to. So Bitwise is not the first one of the funds that was launched. Is what it's number 4. Okay, actually number 3 if you take out Grayscale. Number 3, and they're still announcing that their launch was the top 5% of the largest ETF launch in 2023. As I said, in terms of putting things into perspective, where is it? Let me see. Oh, put things into perspective. The Bitcoin ETF is about 3 times as large already after 5 days of trading in total than silver ETFs. Okay, which only have about 11 billion in total. And the only second to gold ETFs that who have about 95 billion in total. But obviously gold and silver have been going for a long time. The gold ETF was launched in, I remember, 2004. So it's been going for about 20 years. Okay, and the Bitcoin ETFs have just started trading now. So I just remember, put it into perspective. Even if we look at the, say you discount the Grayscale outflows, we're at about 3 billion on net inflows. Okay, 3 billion on net inflows without counting, obviously, the money that has left, Grayscale and the ProShare funds as well. So on other things that I can show you as well. So you might have heard about JP Morgan's CEO, critic of Bitcoin, saying that Bitcoin is just like a pet rock. But Cathy Wood comes down in terms, with data rather than just having a slanging match, and I was saying some of the things of, let's bring up the tweet to understand, coming down with data, saying the hash rate hit an all-time high of 500 exa hashes this month. Okay, to understand this number, it's for every star in a galaxy, the Bitcoin network is calculating 5 billion computations per second. Okay, so to match this kind of like work rate, it would take 2,000 years for the entire global population is performing 1 hash per second. Now, and you can look at some of these things, but by number of raw operations per second, Bitcoin is 500 times more performant than the world's most powerful supercomputer. So these are kind of like, this is the reality of, and this is the power that stands behind just Bitcoin. Okay, without counting all the other cryptocurrencies that are available. This is just Bitcoin, and this is the power that protects the the Bitcoin network. And it's the power of this is kind of like undeniable. So in here, the infrastructure has created the kind of the world's basically largest supercomputer, and I will say it's the largest computer network in the world, one that surpasses the combined size of the cloud computing system built by Amazon, Google, and Microsoft put together over the past 15-20 years. So that shows you, why now Bitcoin is being recognized as an asset class, and shortly probably Ethereum will go the same way, because this cannot be ignored. It's investments of several hundred billions of dollars that's gone into developing these networks, and it's, I'll say, you can't just dismiss it as a pet rock, because it shows that you don't really understand why this this has has gained so much value over time. And the one thing I'll tell you, and I know that many of you who listen to me are business owners, and I will ask you one question: is that what is the value that you will put on trust? Now, just to give you a very simple example, how much more would you pay for an employee that you can trust 100% compared to another employee that is not reliable and you would have to check pretty much everything he does? So that's the thing. This is the value of Bitcoin, because it's put almost like a monetary value on trust, and it's the first time in the world when we can transact with each other without needing to trust anybody else. Okay, it's inbuilt in the product itself, and that's the biggest thing that gives Bitcoin its value. And we have gone back to one of the characteristics of money. When money was created, one of the characteristics was that no one person or one organization could control the issuance of these things that we call money. Okay, everybody's access was the same, and this then was kind of corrupted throughout the ages, when emperors and kings and whatever else took control of issuing money, and with that also they could control inflation and what they wanted to like the gains of being the central bank. If you study your history, the devaluation of the Roman solidus, which is the gold coin that was used throughout the Roman Empire, is one of the main causes of the fall of the Roman Empire. Okay, and so just bear in mind that you're not just buying an asset that can make you money in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, but you are actually rebuilding our society one piece at a time by being involved, understanding and using cryptocurrency in your daily life. Okay, moving on. So we're talking about then kind of like expectations of buy the rumor and sell the news. So there was evidence that that's a lot of the institutions that actually got ETFs have used this price drop to then go out shopping to buy the and accumulate Bitcoins. So what are the expectations for the next 2 or 3 months? So as I told you just now, there are things that need to be go through the cycle now. So recycling the these funds will take whatever time it takes. Could take 1 week, 1 month, or 3 months, but it is we have kind of like this expectation of looking at previous cycles as things move pretty quickly within a few months of the Bitcoin halving event. Because if nothing else changes, one thing that changes is that when you think about who sells Bitcoin on a regular basis is the miners. Okay, because as they mine Bitcoin, then they sell them to finance their operations. Now, from this day onwards, then what they sell to the market will be half of what it is today, because the rewards they receive would be half of what they receive now. Okay, so historically about 4 or 5 months later is when the bull market has really started in earnest. Now, what is Bitcoin likely to do from here till then? Okay, this is difficult to predict, but there are some expectation. At the moment, there were some bulls that were expecting price to skyrocket up and maybe create a new high, even if briefly. And there were bears that thought about, buy the rumor, sell the news, so expected the price to get back to the low 30s. Okay, and there is a third possibility, So obviously there are funds that keep flowing into the ETFs, and this will carry on. They don't seem to have any they're not slowing down at all, and the ETFs are the most successful they've ever been launched. And remind you that with each million that gets deposited into an ETF, it's like 1 million worth of Bitcoin is taken out of the market. So once the sellers have been exhausted, so talking about GBTC and the miners they are selling, then the accumulation will actually show in the price as well, because there will be no more, the supply will be reduced significantly. So if we know that, say, will take about a month probably. So by the mid to the end of February, we'll say, we should have washed the GBTC shares through the market. Okay. I personally, I don't see all this huge selling pressure at the moment in the market, but if we were to kind of like drop below 40,000, then the next area of that we've seen of demand in the past was this area here between 38.5 and 35.5. So I personally, and I might be wrong here, so anything can happen. I don't have a crystal ball, but from my point of view, I see price maybe having a quick foray into this area and then jump right back up. But probably, I think we will spend the next month and a half around this this area between, say, 38.5 and 44,000. Okay, what's going to happen in between this moment that we are in right now and when Bitcoin starts growing again, is that the altcoins will be better performing than Bitcoin over this time. This is because we have gone through, as you can see here, the Biden news time was in October, November of last year. And at the moment, we have another Biden news event, which is the Ethereum ETF. So what you see here, there's been, the Fidelities has filed the papers for an Ethereum spot ETF. And the SEC yesterday has actually postponed their decision to the 4th of March. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see if there is, 5th of March. So we'll see if there is a decision then, or to find a way of, refusing and moving it forward again. But there is, the rumor is in play at the moment. So people are talking about Ethereum ETF, and that is bringing a big interest back into Ethereum. So if we see, sorry, Ethereum BTC, ETH. I wanted to see the chart. Maybe I'll just have crypto. No. Oh, there we are. Okay, so if we look at you see, this is relative performance of Ethereum compared to Bitcoin. So it's not the whole crypto market that is kind of like dumping right now. It's simply a Bitcoin issue, because I can see compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum is carried on doing quite well. Okay, so this is again Friday the 19th. So this is Thursday the 11th. So this is the day when the Bitcoin ETF was launched, and where the Bitcoin has gone up and then dropped, Ethereum has gone up and stayed up. Okay, and then is actually now basing around the the top of this relation. So basically, Ethereum is become more valuable in terms of Bitcoin, and quite a lot as well. So if we see from Tuesday or last week, so if you had Bitcoin and you sold Bitcoin for your Ethereum and bought Ethereum with the proceeds, you would have made 20%. Okay. So this is the thing sometimes, the relationship that can help you make more of your cryptocurrency, or even without cashing out or other one, but simply shifting from one to another at times, does allow you to take advantage of the ones that are moving more quickly compared to the ones that are maybe pausing or slowing down. So, any more things to? So the usual thing that I can tell you if you follow the thing, Jim Cramer. Anybody you follows Jim Cramer? It seems to have a knack to actually misread the market sign. So whenever he says buy, you sell. Whenever he says sells, you buy. At the moment, he thinks that Bitcoin will tank. So we'll see. So probably is a very good news for Bitcoin that is not on board. Other things. This is the Ripple CEO that discusses the Bitcoin ETF, and he was saying, kind of putting things into perspective, that is, it's a new thing, a new asset that's been around for just over 10 years, and is now overtaking established investment vehicles like silver. Okay, we only again, we'll see if in the coming months and years we actually manage to overtake gold as well in terms of money deposited into ETFs. Okay, gold at the moment is at 95 billion, and Bitcoin is about 26. Okay, so this is the last thing, actually quite interesting. You know that China banned cryptocurrencies, pretty much. It banned trading in cryptocurrency. Hasn't banned owning them, obviously, because a lot of people in China already did. But apparently there are now meeting places, like covert meeting places, where people meet to exchange wallet addresses and to make transactions over the counter, like this, directly person to person. So it is the estimates are that trading volume was around 86 billion in 2023. This is for something that was completely banned and made illegal. So as you can see, it's very difficult. We often talk about what the institutions can shut crypto down, and it's if you know how to do it, maybe just work it out. But I don't know how this can be stopped anymore. We've gone beyond, I think, the point of no return. So I think I usually manage to talk for about almost an hour straight. So let me stop sharing and see if there are any questions. Does anybody would like to unmute themselves and ask some questions? Oh, fire away. Anything. From what's the weather like today? Very cold here in the UK, by the way. Very jealous of you Australians watching this, in the warm sunshine there. Here, yesterday was the coldest day of the year. I think it went, certain parts of the UK was below -10, so very cold, very cold. Sorry, Carol, were you saying something? You're muted. Oh no. Yeah,
I
very
was just going to say, how beautiful is that?
well, cold.
So cold.
Well, it's not that beautiful when you're out walking about and everything freezes, everything is not covered up, really freezes off. So
Oh, well,
hands, ears, so it's really cold.
it's air conditioner weather here.
Yeah,
On
no.
the cool me downside.
I know I'm watching the the Australian Open. So I can see you're having quite a bit of rain though. Is it unusual this time of year?
It has been amazingly different summer. Very humid, lots of cloud, rain, hailstorms. It's very odd.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's good. It looks really good, and it looks like people are enjoying themselves. So, I have by the way, I've got to ask you a favor, just like please use put all your prayers towards Yannick Sinner because he has to win the title this year. It's his year. He has to do. So if you're there, if anybody's in Melbourne and you're going to watch it, then support him. It's an amazing guy, and I really hope he does make it this year. Okay.
New Zealand's been great. We haven't had all the rain that we had last year that was flooding us all out. So it's been, it's been in the high 20s to 32, which is, yeah. But then there's rain, like you guys in Australia, rain's coming through and then the humidity just goes up. So, but that's okay. We've actually had summer, which we didn't have last year. So all good.
That's nice. All good. Okay, guys. Anybody else any questions at all? Archie, you're in Bali. Amazing. So yeah, really enjoy Bali. It's an amazing place. And hopefully, you're not just shut up in Vision Villas, but you can go and have a look maybe at Ubud and just rent a moped for the day. It's great. It's great to travel around Bali. Very easy. People are really nice. So. Okay, guys, I will then wish you all a fantastic. Ubud is one of my favorite places. Fantastic. So I wish you all a fantastic weekend, and yes, I'll talk to you again next week. And please don't forget to go and join Jonathan for this Cardano session at 9:30. And that's that. I just posted the link in the chat box, and I will see you again next week. Hopefully, there will be a lot more funds coming in, and maybe a little bit less going out of grayscale if people have stopped, finished selling, and we can see prices then quietly recovering and pushing to the upside. Okay. So good luck, everybody, and enjoy the weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Luca.